Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. This is Shweta Mishra this side, and I'm the resource person for today for the very regular topic of ours, class management, the classroom management skills. However, each one of us, being a teacher, has its own skill set. And not to be exaggerated in this, everybody is skilled in their own field of class management. They have their own style of managing their class. But nowadays things have become a little bit challenging because the scenario of the kind of students that we are having in our classrooms today is very different from what we were at our times, isn't it? I hope everybody would agree with this. So let's have a little uh, discussion and interactive based session on different classroom situations and how we are supposed to handle them. I wish everybody comes out to be participative, everybody comes up to be responsive, because then only we'll come up with something concrete from this workshop, and let us all go back with something learning outcome from this. And so I'm just sharing my screen and let's get started. Yeah, I've shared my screen. Kindly confirm if it is visible to everyone. Kindly send a yes in the chat box if it is visible to everyone. All right, it is visible. It is visible. So, welcome to the classroom management session. And just before we go into the main session discussion or the main slides, let us see what challenges we face in the classroom management. I request everybody to type an emoji to show how your classroom looks like. We have all sorts of emojis in our chat options. So, whatever expression you feel is good and suiting to your classroom settings, or where suits the class which you are teaching, angry, happy, excited, whatever you think like, kindly type in the chat box. Let me see how the responses are coming. I'm waiting for the responses. Yes. Nobody likes to mention about the class. Am I audible? Am I audible? Okay, please share if I'm audible. I hope no, I'm not getting any response in the chat box if I'm audible or not. All right, okay. Okay. So When it comes to sharing the emojis representing your class, some in other sessions that I have attended, some have sent a very smiling face, some had sent a real disgusted face, some had sent the very happy face, some said the clapping face, clapping emoji, so which shows that the whole class is really energetic in participating. However, I would like to share that whenever we talk about our own classroom, we are mostly thinking like it's the most difficult class that I've got. It's the real challenge to be in the classroom which I have got. What a mess. How energetic and hyperactive children I have. It's very difficult to manage. But then we have one thing in very positive side of our classrooms, that the children are now ready to do so many things and they want to be involved. But the problem is, yes, we have to catch their attention. Now, coming to the next slide, if I would. Here are the classroom scenes A, B, C, D. So, I would like to request if you can type the option A, B, C, or D to show which classroom setting suits your class that you teach, any of your class. Kindly type the option A, B, C, or D to show how your class looks like. A, we got 2A. Anybody else? A, another A, again A, C, okay, A, one or two more, please. Okay. From the options that have come in the chat box, most of us are having the response of A, wherein a teacher is teaching and the class in the class, every student is listening attentively. However, there are other options in which only one teacher has sent the option C, that as soon as she turns the back, there is a whole lot of playing happening in the background, isn't it? Now tell me which of these settings, A, B, C, D, are in alignment with national education policy. Do you find any of these classroom setting aligned to national education policy and NCF? Kindly type the option of the picture which follows the setting as per the national education policy and NCF. Okay, one of the teachers has said B, B, A, B, B, and again B again B. Okay, all right. Now, if, oh wow, so many B's. Very nice, very nice. Now, I would like to learn from you what makes B stand out of all the four pictures shown here. What is happening in B? Just type a short message. What is that thing happening in B which you feel is according to the national education policy? And those of you who have sent A, please type your also. Why do you feel A suits the national education policy and the NCF guidelines? Learning by doing, okay. Yeah, anybody else? Why B is most suited according to national education policy? One of you has said learning by doing. Learning by doing again. Yes. What else? Integration of all subjects. Okay, very nice. Okay, one more response, please. Learning by activity. Yeah, that's very nice. That's amazing that you could find out what is happening in picture B. Now, enjoy learning. Yes, that is also one very good factor. Now, when I asked how your classroom looked like, and when I asked which is the classroom which suits NEP and NCF, there is striking difference, isn't it? So, which means probably we understand what is NEP and NCF, but somehow we are stick to the traditional classroom setting wherein the teacher speaks and students listen. Now, this is the gap which is happening, and that's why probably our class management skills are needed because we have to shift our understanding of a good classroom from A to B. We wish to shift to the system where children are doing activities, children are enjoying learning, children are having integration of subjects together in one classroom, and teacher becomes more as a facilitator of learning rather than an instructor of learning. We can see in the option B that all the children are busy doing something. There are group sittings, there are so many things spread out, and everybody is trying to imbibe the learning by their own way of doing and learning, isn't it? So let's move to the next slide. Now, what has changed in the classroom management over the last decade? What has changed? Are the children? Are the teachers? Or is it the infrastructure? What has changed? What do you think has changed over the last few decades? Or last one decade, I would say, maybe. You had been mostly the teachers who had been teaching for 5 years plus. So, what change have you observed in the classroom management over the last decade or over the last whatever experiences you had? Do you find the same kind of children, or the children have changed? Their behavior has changed, their attitude has changed towards learning, towards the teacher, towards the environment. Definitely, there is a great amount of change. And that's why classroom management, students management, all these have become very big thing to manage now. If we start teaching the children of today with the methodology that used to be 30 years ago when we used to be the student, or we were the learners, or maybe when we started teaching, so at that time, if we will follow that policy, that means we are taking the learning styles 30 years old, which is reflected in the option A picture. We are supposed to move ahead from that. And how? The fact is that we are dealing with smarter children now. Let's all admit that children are way smart nowadays rather than what they used to be, say, about a decade ago. They know how to operate gadgets. They are very smart in giving answers. We see in so many reels and shorts how smartly children are presenting themselves. Forget about the junk that is coming up in so many reels where children are, not behaving properly. And if you can recall, there was a child who came in Kaun Banega Crorepati whose behavior was highly criticized, how he is behaving. So it's just that out of their excitement of doing so many things fast, because they are into a time where speed matters. They don't have patience. They just want everything with a click. And if it doesn't happen, they become impatient, they become aggressive. And this is the biggest challenge that we are facing now. We have a set of very smart children, but we don't know how to manage them, isn't it? So, What are the four cornerstones of an excellent classroom management? There has to be clarity. We should know what our students must do. If we are going into a maths class, say division, we are going to teach. We must know that children should be able to solve division questions properly with proper calculations. There has to be consistency. If at all we have set certain rules for classroom, it has to be followed every day. It cannot be like for 3 days the students are following the rules set for the classroom, for the study time, for the activity time, but after 5 days it becomes all useless. Now, then there has to be connection. There has to be a certain relationship between the students and the teacher. There has to be a certain relationship between the student and student. There has to be a proper intergroup relationship, and that is to be according to the rules which comes out of rules set for the classroom. That sets the connection. And then the consequences, and the consequences has to be calm but predictable and not just emotional. When we go too much into emotions, the heart overtakes the brain. We want the student's brain to work in the class, not the heart. It doesn't mean that I do not wish to touch upon the emotional quotient. No, that is definitely important. But then, yes, when we are teaching something in the classroom, the brain has to be more active and more involved. Now, for this, what should you do? Design your three non negotiables. Those three rules which you want your class to follow at all cost. 100% compliance. For example, use sentences with some kind words like excuse me, please, sorry, thank you. These have to be incorporated. No child can straight away come to the teacher and say, ma'am, I'm going to toilet, or I'm going to washroom, or I'm going to. No, there has to be a certain way of talking to the teachers, which is again becoming a challenge for us, because children are losing the way they should talk to a teacher. They become more like a friend of equal with the teacher rather than a respectable, friendly behavior which is expected from them. Now, there has to be another rule. For example, I talk, you listen. You talk, I listen. And there has to be a time set for this when there is listening happening. When you are talking, the child has to listen, and then we need to tell that, okay, if you have any doubt, please pen it down. Please note it somewhere. Please take it as a halt for yourself. And then when your talking time comes, I will listen to whatever you say. But then listening to the students also needs to be timed so that they learn how to express themselves within the given amount of time to them rather than beating around the bush. These all are class tactics that we need to practice every day with the children. Otherwise, they will not be honed into the skill of communication. And again, the third rule and the most important one is raise hand before speaking. It's not that they can speak anytime. They have to raise hand before speaking. Now, transition time management. What is transition time? Transition time is a time between the two periods. One period is over, there is another period coming up, one teacher leaves, another teacher enters. This is the time where there is the most disturbance. And this transition time needs to be managed very, very efficiently, because nowadays the research says when there was days of books, the concentration span used to be about 3 to 4 hours. When people used to read books, the concentration time used to be 3 to 4 hours. Then books took a backside and came the time of movies. Movies, again, 2 hours something. Then came the time of TV serials. TV serials, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour. Concentration time is decreasing. And now, when we see YouTube videos, Maximum concentration when we say when somebody watches the YouTube video, 10 to 15 minutes. Nobody wants to watch a longer video. However, now is a real tragic time because the time's concentration is equal to shorts and reels. If while scrolling, first 5 seconds don't catch attention, it is the next reel or the next shot which is swiped up. Same is happening in the class also. These 5 seconds time slot of concentration, if the teacher is not able to catch up, it goes all way. And this transition time is definitely more than 5 seconds. So when we need to enter the class, there has to be some starter or there has to be something for us to strike so that the children start attending to what we are saying. Now, how to manage transition time? 5 to 10 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds countdown means, okay, I'll count till 10. Countdown starts to 10 from 10 and let everybody settle. Let me see how many of you settle down so fast. 10, 9, 8. It works. It works because I have personally tried it and I have personally trained and made the teachers try it in the class and it works. 80% of the class gets settled, rest 20%, definitely you can manage. Call and response cue. The teacher says, class, class, students say, yes, yes, class, yes, yes. And this has to be a, synchronized way in which the student calls, the teacher says, students say, yes, yes, which means they need to sit down. Again, if a class has a visual timer like a clock, you can say, okay, the clock takes one full circle or half circle and you need to settle down. Let's see, the timer starts now. And definitely it works. Now let's have a very quick quiz set. It's not actually a quiz set. There are no 100% correct answers. I was going to give a Mentimeter link, but then I would like to give a Google form because many a times Mentimeter link creates connection problems. So there is a Google form that I have sent in the chat box. I would request everybody to fill it. There are different classroom situations in this. And in that situation, the question's answer which you feel is the correct, please mark that. And when you mark that, it is not that there is any 100% correct answer. It is just the accumulation of how we take into our classroom situations and how we think about it. So kindly fill this form. Very short questions and not many questions, but definitely required for us to take into the insight of what classroom management is. I hope everybody is clicking on the link and filling the form. One response I've got. Okay, two responses. Teachers, please be participative because this is the point where we will come to know about different classroom situations and how to handle them. What is the best possible way to handle them? Still two responses. I wish at least 10 responses come up so that we can carry forward with the proceedings of the session. There are 28 participants. I wish for 20 at least, but then yes, 10 should come up definitely. So many good names I can see: Aradhana, Avantika, Babita, Bharti, Chanchal, Divya, Isha Pundir, Jessie Varghese, Lakshmi Kaurav, Meenu Rastogi, then Priya Banga, Rashmi Priya, Ranjana Bisht. So many good names. Sunil Kumar. Three responses only. Come on, teachers, you can do better. Rashmi Priya, ma'am, thank you so much. You have done. Others, please submit the form so that we can proceed. So, four responses. Yeah. Five. Six. 10 more at least. Seven. Eight. Nine. 'Those who have completed, kindly share as done in the chat box. Devya ma'am, thank you so much. Avantika ma'am, thank you so much. I wish to see more done here. 10 is done. Okay. Thank you. I don't know the name. It says Real Me. Thank you. At least five more responses. Done. Thank you so much. 11. Thank you, Priya ma'am. Thank you, Ranjana ma'am. 12. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sunil sir. Thank you, Suryavan sir. Thank you, Minu ma'am. 14 responses have come, at least one more. Thank you, Minu ma'am. Thank you so much. Just one more I need to complete the figure of 15 here. And then we will enter into discussion of every situation. Isha ma'am, thank you so much. One more required. One more, please. Sure, ma'am. Let's discuss these first, Minu ma'am. We will share a few more situations. I have a set of 20 situations. We'll see how the tag of time goes, and we'll definitely share more situations. That we will do verbally. This is something that we have done over here in the Google form. Rest we will do verbally. Okay, I think the 15th is way behind. It's not ready to respond. So let us come up to each and every situation. Now, for the first situation is you clap a pattern to gain attention, but only half the class responds. What is the best next step? 64% people say clap louder until everybody responds. The next highest is 28.6%, which says stop the class and reteach the attention signal. However, clap louder until everyone responds is the majority. This 28% is also a good chunk. Now, those who have said clap louder until everyone responds, kindly share your reason for selecting this option. Why this is the best and not the red mark which says stop the class and reteach the attention signal is a better one. Somebody has also said switch to shouting to get attention. Yes, we are normally used to doing this itself. So, why is clap louder until everyone responds a better option than stop the class and reteach the attention signal? Why? Why not the vice versa? Kindly send your message in the chat box. Why did you select this? ऐसा तो नहीं था कि कोई भी ऑप्शन भर दो फॉर्म कंप्लीट करना है बस. Okay. What I feel is that clap louder until everyone responds. This clapping louder also has its limit. Stop the class and reteach attention signal. The class is not stopping. Maybe they didn't get. They didn't get. Maybe they didn't get. This means, kindly elaborate this. They didn't get. When we say clap louder until everyone responds, yeah, it can be a suitable thing somewhere. When clapping happens, I also suggest many a times to some teachers who are, don't are not having very loud voice or very loud physical attributes. They can use a tambourine to create a sound and get attention. So when half the class responds, both the option, the clap louder until everyone responds, depending on how you are able to clap louder, and stop the class and reteach attention signal. Both are equally acceptable depending on what the teacher. Acha, I mean class didn't get the pattern. Okay, you mean to say this. No, ma'am, clap louder is better option because shouting may threaten them rather than clapping gives positive signal. You're right. I also feel as per the report of the answer that both the options like clap louder until everyone responds and stop the class and reteach the attention signal, these two are the best options Definitely. Option second. Yes, option second is quite good. Again, you are the best judge in the class. You need to decide which of these options works at that point when you are in this situation. So we can definitely switch between these two options. Whatever is applicable at that moment, we can go with it. Now let's move to the next one. So it says a normally well-behaved student suddenly becomes disruptive for 2 days. What is the most effective response? It is unanimous. Speak privately to understand if something changed at home or school. Unanimous. I totally agree. I totally agree that this is the most possible situation in this. However, maybe nobody has come up with this. Option number fourth, call parents and discuss. Depending on the situation of what changes have come and how the child is responding, even a conversation with parent can work. Depending on how well you know the parents, whether the parents are cooperative or not, and how well you know the child. Sometimes the children are very shy, they don't want to. First, we should ask the child. Definitely, first, we should ask the child. I agree. We should first ask the child. If it doesn't come up, then call the parents and discuss. Correct. So that's what I'm saying. The for last two options, correct. Then we go to parents. Right. You're right, Midu ma'am. Thank you for responding. Then coming to the next, sometimes parent hide true situation. Yes, you are right. Sometimes parent hide true situation. But then, yes, we have to be the person who can find out what is going wrong. And that's why this NEP also talks about appointing a counselor. Sometimes they come up with the better answer. Kids are transparent. Now, kids are transparent, yes, many times, but then now they're very smart also. They know what my teacher wants to listen, what my parents want to listen. They respond that way also. We had that experience many places. Sometimes, again, it depends on what is the relation of a teacher with that child. If the teacher is really closely attached with the child will be 100% true. If he know if there is not that kind of cozy relationship between the teacher and that child, then might be he will hide the truth. Now the next one, during an art activity, a student keeps getting up to borrow colors from each other. What is the best preventive strategy? Almost unanimous. Prepare color sharing baskets for every table before the class. This is, yes, definitely. I agree. Here, this is the best response that has to be done. Because every time we cannot say sit down, we cannot stop the child from going creative. So therefore, the best classroom management strategy is prepare a color sharing basket, which has to be kept on every table before the class. Let us come to the next one. Two students start laughing and distracting others while you teach. What is the most professional way to redirect them? 68.8% say move closer to their desk and pause briefly. Then 18% say make a sarcastic remark and 12.5% say publicly call them out to shame them. Okay, nobody has gone with the option ignore them until the class ends. So now here is a situation where the students feel they can do just anything in the class. They do just anything because now the rules have become, oh wow, we have got 16 response. Just now I noticed. Thank you teachers for participating. Okay, so coming back, nowadays the rules have also become such that we cannot give capital punishment, we cannot touch the child. So sometimes children take advantage of this and do just anything. They try to irritate the teacher so that the teacher reacts, not acts. And when the reaction comes from the teacher, that is mostly negative. We have to act and see how to handle. Now, I would share one example here. Once in a workshop, there was a teacher who said, of probably class 8, that a child in the back bench was continuously chewing gum during the time when he was teaching. And The teacher noticed that he's doing that, and teacher looked at him. Still, the child did not wish to stop it. He kept on staring at the teacher with arrogance and kept on chewing gum. The teacher first gave a look and avoided. After some time, again, when he saw the child, same behavior. Teacher walked up to that child while teaching, stayed there for a few seconds, and came back as a gesture to say that, okay, I have noticed it. Now you need to spit it out. Again, the child did not do anything. After that, the teacher went to the child once again, continued teaching, leaned on the desk, had a look into the eyes of the child, and continued teaching and came back. Still, the child did not stop. Now, teachers, I ask you, what to do? What to do in this situation? The child, that boy is in class 8, not ready to spit out the chewing gum. What should be done? He is kind of challenging you. Come what may, I will not do. You, as a teacher in that situation, what would you have done? What is the best possible thing to be done in this situation? The child is becoming an open challenge. Just think of an answer and type if you can type. However, it is a strict indisciplinary thing that is happening in the class, and the children of class 8 are already aggressive. You cannot be rough with them, you cannot manhandle them, but something has to be done at that point. The child is ready to come out, whatever to do. I'll tell you what the teacher did the third time. When the child did not spit out, the teacher went with a piece of paper and kept that paper while teaching only, kept that paper on the desk of that child and tapped on the paper like this to indicate that take out your chewing gum and put it inside this paper and throw it. It didn't happen. The child did not do it. अगर हम देसी लैंग्वेज में बोले तो भाई अपनी इज्जत बचा के चल लो, बिकॉज चाइल्ड इज इन टोटल एग्रेसिव मूड. बट देन टेक्निकली स्पीकिंग, if you look into the psychology of that child, talk to him or her alone, yeah, definitely. This is the only best option left because the child is ready to take bang on. He wants a rough situation to come up between him and the teacher. That's why he is continuing with this behavior. So it was not advisable at all to take bang on what is happening in the class, because ultimately he will enter into something which is not acceptable and the teacher will be insulted more than the child. So it is always advisable, when the class gets over, talk to such children and ask what is the reason? Why is he doing like this? So there are some situations wherein we need to talk to the child, because otherwise they are not in a mood. Just ignore that time and talk to him or her later. Yes, correct, that is the way. But however, when we are teaching in the class, our temperament also goes very high, and sometimes, the rough behavior comes out. How dare this child is behaving like that, it comes out. So this is our duty, to control our temperament and do what we are supposed to do, rather than getting blown away with the emotional turmoil. So let us come to the next one. You want to encourage listening. True, it will only harm us as a teacher, not the students. You're right, Avantika ma'am. It will harm us as a teacher. The child has come with the mood to spoil the thing. Okay. You want to encourage listening during instructions. Which method is most effective? 70.6% say ask the students to repeat back the task in one sentence. 23% say avoid giving instructions and allow discovery learning. And some say give long instructions at once. Now, listening, encouraging listening. when we can't ignore during the class, because if in between principal sir came on round, it will not be good. It will not be good for the teacher. You are right. Meenu ma'am, you're right. Again, thank you all the teachers for being participative. Now, here the situation is you want to encourage listening during instructions. We have already discussed that the concentration span of the children nowadays is very, very short, 5 to 10 seconds only. If it doesn't fit into that, if we don't fit into that, it's all gone. So, ask students to repeat back what the task done in one sentence. Yes, this is to understand the listening capacity and to also get a check of ours. Whatever we have told, the students have taken it in the same feel or not. If we ask them to repeat what we have said, we will come to know whether they have understood what we are trying to tell them or not. However, avoid giving instructions and allow discovery learning. This is also good instruction. As we say, when we talk about NEP and NCF, the teacher's role is as a guide and a facilitator. So I would not say 100% avoid, but then yes, a guide and let them learn by themselves. If a child asks a question, why is something happening? Let the child ask the child, why do you think it happens? Why do you think it happens? What is your thought on this? Let the child come up with his thought and then build on the correction that is required. Okay, next. A student rolls their eyes and mutters something when corrected. What is the most effective response? Yeah, the students nowadays feel that they know everything and nobody can teach them anything. Now, 77.8% stay calm and address to the disrespect privately. Okay, very nice. I agree with this. This is the most effective way to ask what is the issue, and then definitely argue with them immediately. If we enter into an argumentation, then again the situation will be same as that of the chewing gum which I had discussed. Such students want rough situation, so don't give them what they want. Insist they apologize in front of the class. This is also an acceptable situation if the behavior is very, very widely indicated to everybody that I have come to insult the teacher. However, insisting nahi, create a situation wherein he feels that he should apologize. So that will come again. You are the best judge to find out how you get the child into that situation. A student repeatedly disrupts the class only when a particular peer is present. You suspect a relationship dynamic. What is the first step? Oh my God. Talk to the disruptive student privately and explore the peer influence. Everybody is unanimous on this. And keep both students after class as punishment. This can be an option if the situation goes out of control. This can be an option of keeping both the students after the class as a punishment. This can be when the situation really goes out of control. However, as 94% says, we need to talk to the student and find out why this peer influence is happening. Next. You have introduced a new routine, but after 5 days, students still don't follow. What is the most likely to indicate? 72% say the routine is unclear, too long, and not practiced enough. And routine should be abandoned entirely. If it is not working, it has to be abandoned entirely. See, both the options again. Maybe the routine that we have made them follow is not fitting into what we expect them to do. Quite sometimes there are situations where such we can't ignore during the class, because if in between principals are came on round, will not be good for the teacher. Second option. This is coming as the second option is the option for which situation, sir? Can you, Avantika ma'am? No, who is this? Meenu ma'am. Meenu ma'am, this is for the first situation or the earlier situation, or for the chewing gum situation that we are talking about? For 8. Okay, for this one. You have introduced a new routine. Fine. See, again, principal sir came on routine to inspect or whatever is the secondary thing. We are talking about how we are managing our class. If something does not work, we need to find out the reason why it is not working. Sometimes because of monotony, it cannot work. Sometimes because of too many conditions of compliance are there which the students are not able to follow. So maybe the routine is unclear, or you can ask the students, why are you not following it? What is the problem that is not letting you follow? So that response may help you in solving the situation why this routine is not being followed, and you can amend it. Then routine must be abandoned? No, it should not be abandoned. It should be abandoned only when found that it is not suitable. Okay. During a speaking activity, one group becomes loud. However, they are deeply engaged and on task. What is the best of the Arab 50-50? Britannia 50-50. Ask them to whisper even if it reduced engagement. Allow the productive noise but set a clear noise limit. See, definitely we need to tell them that they are not supposed to shout. They can talk softly, and for that they can find out ways how to engage by talking softly rather than loud voice. At the same time, allow productive noise. Definitely, we are supposed to. If we recap the slides that we have shown, the option B of the class, which shows everybody engaged in something. In such a class, noise is supposed to happen because children will discuss, children will do something. There will be disagreements. So now noise will come up. But then in such situation, this noise is productive noise. We as the teachers have to control the noise level, but not stop the noise at all because some noise are productive. So let's move again. You observe a pattern. Misbehavior increases when tasks are too difficult. We can explain to the principal, but can't tolerate the worst behavior of the student. That's why I said ignore that thing only for that moment. Huh, correct. For that moment, it is acceptable that ignore it. But we need to address this wrong behavior some way. Talk to the student, take the student to the principal if it is required. True later on. Yeah, correct. So let's come back to question 10. You observe a pattern. Misbehavior increases whenever tasks are too difficult. What is the most strategic way to respond? 83.3 say differentiate tasks to match the readiness level. Create more difficult tasks as punishment and give only easy worksheets. See, if we give only easy worksheets, then we are not increasing the bar of learning. We have to give some challenges. And definitely, these challenges have to be assessed. What level has to be taken according to the class that we are into. If the class students sometimes are very smart, we can go ahead with the level 2 and level 3 challenges instead of just level 1 for the easy one. But then if the class is improvising every day, we can improve the level 1 to level 2, then level 2 to level 3 gradually. And what the 83% of response say, differentiate tasks to match the readiness levels. That is what I'm saying. Judge and evaluate what is the readiness of the class, and then design the worksheets as or the task as to what is their level plus a little more. This will help us to understand why, what is happening and how much the class has learned as a new learning. Coming to the next situation, you want to encourage listening during instruction, which measures. I think it is the repeated one. Sorry, it is the repeated one. Yeah. A student refuses to follow a direction and crosses their arms, staring at you. You sense a power struggle. What is the most effective next step? Now, 61% of people say give the student a choice and walk away. 16% or rather 17% say demand an apology immediately. 11% each say threaten removal from the class, argue with the student to show authority. However, when we talk about this 11% in both the categories of arguing with the student and threatening to remove from the class, both will be what the child wants. Sometimes the children create these kinds of situations because they do not want to be in the class. So throw them out of the class and they're happy. They will be very happy. चलो छुट्टी पाए क्लास से, हाँ यही तो चाहिए था. And sometimes they are like, okay, कर ले टीचर, क्या कर सकते हैं, I'll also see. So arguing with the student to show authority and threaten removal from the class may not be the best option. Again, it depends on the situation, like if you can handle it, if rarest of rare situation wants that. However, generally acceptable, we should avoid these two. Then demand an apology immediately. An apology immediately if the child is ready to cross arms and does not want to follow the instruction. He knows that if he will not do, he will be punished. He is not ready to apologize in that situation because for him it's okay. मैं देख लेंगे क्या होगा, करेंगे तो नहीं. It is like that. Throw them outside is the golden key for them. They never regret. They only play and misbehave outside. You are 100% right, ma'am. This is something which probably we in our student life have also seen our fellow friends, our classmates. When they're thrown out, they peep inside the class, make faces, and have fun, isn't it? So they have their nice time outside the class rather than being inside. So throwing out of the class is doesn't work. It is a gift that they enjoy. So definitely like give student a choice to walk away or give student a choice or ask them to walk away. We are here to present two situations. Okay, beta, do this and or do this. You are there to decide and just leave. Let the student think and find out what he is supposed to do. Let him think, and this thinking hour will this even 2-3 seconds of thinking if goes into the child's mind कि मुझे ये करना है या वो करना है, that aggression will suppress. And when it will suppress, the definite cross arms are not going to be that tightly crossed. He will think about what is to be done. Okay, so here were certain situations that we had shared. Now I'm stopping the screen share. So these were certain situations that we felt are very, very common for us to face in the class. However, as I said, there were no 100% right answers. So whatever you have said is correct in this situation where it is supposed to be correct. Again, every situation, every action has its own repercussions to do. So choose the best option when it is your class. Now, what is the rule for the best class management? There is no rule. We have discussed every situation here, and every situation is a new challenge in every class. When you are there in the class, you are somebody who will decide what is to be done and how it is to be done. Sometimes rustigation of child is the only option left and you cannot stop it. Sometimes counseling works, sometimes a teacher's empathy works, sometimes the teacher's handling the situation works. There is no one rule that I can say follow this and all your problems will be solved. No. We are dealing with humans, not machines. So just saying if this nut is loose, tighten it and the machine will work. No, this human brain is the most complicated machine, and the best part is that, or rather I would say the worst part is that we don't have a user manual for it. When we don't have the user manual, we'll have to always explore what is the best way to manage it. And the human brain, and especially the child's brain, is very, 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 very active, always wanting to do something. So please see to it which situation is handled in which way and how you are going to understand, how you are going to find out what is the best solution. Because ultimately, the winner has to be a child. The child has to win. We have to present a win-win situation for him, because then only it becomes a win-win situation for us. We as teachers are supposed to build students, not punish them and make them bad. So thank you very much. There is a feedback form which I'm sharing in the chat box. Kindly fill that, because that is the thing which is going to be very, very mandatory for getting you the e-certificate. So I'm sharing the link. Yeah, this is the workshop feedback form. Yeah, share the link, ma'am. Sangeeta ma'am, please click on the link, fill in the free feedback form, and then only it will be shared with you. The e-certificates will be shared with you. Thank you so much, Meenu ma'am. And thank you all the teachers for being so interactive, so responsive, and so involved in the situation handling. I wish this the session would have been longer, so I would have given you few more situations to come up with your own all answers, because when I discuss such things with you, I also learn with you. So thank you very much for your participation. Please fill the feedback form. Once you have filled the feedback form, ma'am, everybody please type done or filled or whatever you want to say, so that we come to know that the forms are filled by these many teachers. Thank you, Meenu ma'am. Hope to see you again. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for filling the form. I hope everybody is filling the feedback form. It is mandatory for getting the e-certificate of the session. Thank you, Rashmi ma'am. Thank you, Ranjana ma'am. Thank you, Tisha ma'am. Thank you, Divya ma'am. Thank you, Sangeeta ma'am. Thank you so much.